So I'd like to circle back though to music because there's a lot of correlation with, Eastern philosophies and music from the 60s and 70s. Would you like
Mhm.
to share about that?
Well, um, yeah, I mean, it was sort of was a big thing at the end of the 60s and throughout the 70s to be into Eastern philosophy and meditation. I mean, I'm sure many of your viewers, your listeners, will know that the Sergeant Pepper cover has got Yogananda and his gurus on the front of it, and transcendental meditation (TM) was a big thing with, I mean, a big cultural thing. Sort of everybody knew the Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, and then of course there was Ram Dass and all that he did, especially with that book Be Here Now. So it's amazing that as I've over the last several years, I've gotten more devoted to my meditation practice, how, especially among boomers, how many I've run into who are musicians. Now, why should that be? I don't know. Maybe it's temperament. I have a bit of a theory on that.
Okay.
And my theory is that one of the things meditation, at least in my experience, one of the things meditation encourages us to do is to try to get to a very quiet place where the thoughts are not constantly racing through our head. And then being in the present means not worrying about the past or worrying about the future, and just accepting the present and being open to it. So, in many ways, meditation is kind of about trying to get us to be conscious without thinking in words and language. And those of us who do music are pretty familiar with that frame of mind because we can think in music. If you ask me to listen for something in a piece of music, I will all of a sudden start listening and there will be no words in my head because I will be totally focused on the sound and when you're playing. And so we already have, I think, maybe kind of an ability to suppress or release the verbal parts of our mind so that we can focus on the musical parts. And maybe that makes it just a little bit easier to get deeper into meditation because you've already been kind of doing some of that releasing of the verbal. And maybe that's why you find more, at least I've found a lot of musicians in these circles, because, people stick with the things that they think that they're getting pretty good at. And if you have a pretty good start on meditation because you've been a musician, maybe you'll stick with it and there'll be more of those kinds of people in the community than others. I don't know. Maybe it's the same way with artists. Maybe that's the same way with dancers. But something about releasing the verbal flow because you're thinking about some other thing, I think makes meditation maybe a little bit easier. I don't know what your experience has been. You've spent a lot of time with musicians.
I've never actually thought about it. This is a new thing to consider, but it makes perfect sense.